how to invest money in stocks. One misconception many people had is that unit trusts, aka mutual funds, and stocks are two different asset class. I'm gonna tell you why this is entirely bullshit. Funds, whether they are mutual funds, aka unit trusts, or even exchange traded funds or ETFs, are in fact the vehicles or the ways to invest into stocks. Think of it this way: when this question pops up in your mind, how do I invest in stocks? Just imagine this analogy. You want to travel from KL to Penang. How do you want to do that? A few modes of transportation, namely, you can drive your car, you can use a bus, you can ride a train, or if you are the plain lazy, you are plain lazy, you are overweight and all that, and you maybe want to sit your butt on a plane. So this all differs when it comes to the cost involved, aka the price that you need to pay. It differs in the time involved, aka the time to get to point A to point B, and of course the level of work that is needed. For example, if you drive a car, you have to drive. If you sit your butt on a plane, you don't need to drive. Don't need to drive anything. You just be at the airport at the right time. Just get off the plane, and then the plane will just go on ferry your ass or whatnot, and come just land on wherever you want to go. Let's take a plane as an example. If you take a plane, it's the fastest because it's also the most expensive. But let's say if the plane crashes, then there's very little chance of you surviving. You 100% die. Okay, so taking a plane is like using a derivatives to invest into the stock market. Derivatives, if you don't know that, put a link below what is a derivatives. But one example of using a derivatives is like a stock options. Value of these options or warrants is actually derived from the value or the price of the stock. And the price of these stock options or warrants, it just costs a fraction of the underlying stock price. Maybe the stock price costs, the price is 1 ringgit per share, but an option or warrants maybe just cost like 10 cents per option. So the thing is, you don't really own the asset, and when I talk about options and warrant, is a relatively higher risk of an instrument to invest into stock. But you know that options or warrants are a proxy to the underlying asset, which is the stock. Now, the value can actually spike up. The value can also spike down. I use spike the word because it can really go up very fast, and it can also really go down pretty fast, okay, relatively fast. So you could profit a lot, or you can make money fast. There's also lots of chances, if you are stupid, if you are foolish, there's a lot of chances you could lose money in a blink and an eye if you invest in the stock market using purely warrants or derivatives. Now, how about driving a car? You're driving a car, you have a full control. Yes, it takes more effort. Maybe if you are sleepy, you have to take coffee, you have to take breaks, you have to go for toilet breaks and all that. And you go from KL to Penang, KL, it will cost you like takes a 5-6 hours drive, provided you don't exceed the speed limit. Now, if you are those who are really tend to flaunt the traffic laws, and you just drive like 200 kilometers per hour, it's very possible you can reach in 3 hours or even 2.5 hours. But there's no way, the journey itself, there's no way you can actually beat the time it needs for a plane, okay, to go from Penang to KL, which is like within 1 hour. There's no way you can do that. Now, this is exactly the analogy I want you to understand. Okay, it's not about comparing stocks and funds and all that. I will get right into that in a second. But this is exactly how you invest money in the stock market. If you drive a car, the same analogy is you are investing your money directly in the stock market. Now, taking a bus or a train means you also can minus off the effort of you being on the wheel and driving your car on your own. But again, you can choose where to actually drive your car. Okay, it's not like in a plane where the itinerary is fixed, the time is fixed. Driving a car, you can drive a bit slower, you can detour to other places like maybe Ipoh or some take a break, stay in hotel, visit some other towns along the way. Driving a car gives you that kind of autonomy. But if you take a bus and train, meaning that yes, you don't need to drive, but you also lose the autonomy to actually say that, hey, I want to go here right now. So you can't make that kind of spur of the moment decision. And because someone is driving the bus, okay, someone driving the bus, it's like the fund manager is managing a fund which you invest in. The fund manager actually decides what are the stocks to pick and all that. You naturally have to pay a fee for all the work done that is being done on behalf of you. Just like when you use a train or use a bus to travel from point A to point B, you have to pay a fee. Okay, if you were to drive a car yourself, of course, your car still have to pay toll, still have to pay for your petrol, but that's not the point. Let's just discount that away. Taking a train, it's like you are investing in the stock market using exchange traded funds or ETF way of doing things. Like I say, a train, because a train can't really go anywhere. In fact, the route is very, very fixed because the cost the train have to move according to the tracks. In the same analogy, an ETFs or exchange traded fund, it needs to track the market. Like a train have to go by the track probably at a certain constant speed. So it's not likely you can reach like, if I drive faster then I can reach early, if I drive slower I can reach slower. So it's not likely to happen for a train unless something breaks down along the path, right? And a train is also probably one of the cheapest way available compared to bus or taking a plane. And this actually is same with investing in the stock market, how to invest in the stock market through an ETF. So it's the same. It is one of the cheapest. That is why I'm using this analogy to actually educate you. The way to invest this way, using an ETF to invest into the stocks or stock market, means you won't outperform or underperform the market too much. Now, because the ETFs of the exchange traded fund has to mimic a certain stock market index, let's say ETF that tracks the Malaysian stock market in a certain sector, then it has to track as close as possible, maybe not 100%, but as close as possible. Imagine if a stock market index in a certain sector or region is represented by a basket of, let's say, 50 stocks out of 500 stocks. These 50 stocks, each of them with a 2% weightage for each stock that makes up, the 50 stock makes up 2% weightage and makes up 100%, which makes up the index. So that is exactly how the exchange traded fund or ETF has to buy the exact same stocks in the stock market in the exact proportion, exact percentage, exact composition to invest in, okay, and to form the entire ETF or exchange traded funds. So it doesn't make sense to actually hold other stocks other than this 50 stock which is representing the index itself. How about a bus? A bus, the same analogy is like a unit trust or mutual funds. When talk about unit trust or mutual fund, there are a lot of unit trust or mutual funds out there. It seems like when you take a bus, there are a lot more bus operator or bus companies than a train operator. Maybe there's just one train operator, but for a bus, you know that there is a lot of bus companies. Some are more comfy, some are more expensive with some premium features and all that. Some might overcharge you for a crappy service, some might be okay, and some are simply awesome. So the bus is, you have to also understand, there's always you are not the only passenger in the bus. There's a lot of passengers in the bus going to the same place with you, sharing what are the costs that the bus company needs, to pay the bus driver and all that to take you from point A to point B. That is like a vehicle. It's like a fund that holds many stocks inside the funds, okay, with certain mandate, which means that in certain ways it can take a break along the path. It's not as strict path as a train, but yet the destination, it wouldn't differ too much. If it says that it's going from Penang to KL, then it will actually stop at KL. It wouldn't go further, and it wouldn't stop before it reached KL. Unit trust or mutual fund, this is how most people started investing in the stock market, or have exposure, indirect exposure to the stock market by investing in a unit trust. Probably they don't understand what are they investing. Maybe their friend just come and recommend it to them, but the point is, this is how most people started. Let me ask you, imagine if you are sitting in the bus. Can you, one person out of the 100 passenger, ask the bus driver actually to drive faster just for you because you are in a hurry for time, late for your appointment in another city? No. Just like you can't ask the bus driver to speed just because you will endanger everyone. The same analogy is the fund manager as the bus driver. They can't be like buying or investing into one single stocks 100% or even 50% or even 20% in just one single stock, just because he thinks that this has a potential to go up, just because he liked it personally very much. So you can't really do that, and that is the thing that you have to understand, because that is not how it works. Now, even if you are the fund manager or the bus driver, like I say, likes it and believe it so much, but you can't really hold more than probably 5%, 6% or even 10% of the entire fund value into one single stock. And there are pros and there are cons to this, versus investing directly into the stock or versus driving the car yourself. The cons is, imagine you have probably 20, 30 basket of stocks, but there's one stocks inside the unit trust or the mutual fund that maybe go up by 20% within a period of 1 week. But because the fund only holds maybe 3-4% of these stocks, of these exact stocks, so even though the stock go up 20%, so it would not go up. It would not go up by 20%. The fund maybe will go up even only by 1% due to a 20% rise in a single stock in the fund, which only makes up maybe 3, 4 or 5% of the total entire fund value. Now, this might seem like a disadvantage, but the advantage is, what if this single stock goes the other way, like it drops just 20% overnight? The thing is, if you invested directly into the stock, you will suffer that kind of losses, paper losses, 20% overnight. But because if you are investing in the fund, this stock dropped 20%, maybe the downside of the entire fund value which you invested in is only 1%, because this single stock is only maybe a 4% of the entire fund value. This is real nice. It limits your losses, something of a risk management, and it is not about comparing which asset class actually gives you higher. That is not the perspective. It's really stupid to compare between unit trust and stock, because essentially unit trust, of course you have bond unit trust, fixed income and all that, but I'm talking about equity unit trust, mutual fund, equity funds versus stocks. They're essentially the same. One is a vehicle to invest in stock, where the other one is the underlying asset, which is the stock itself. So it's really stupid to compare between these two asset classes, because underlying, they are the same thing. Now, I will also include a table or link to the table comparing these few vehicles, which means ETFs, mutual funds, or unit trusts, or even derivatives, or investing directly in the stock. So these are the vehicle to invest directly into equities or public equities market. What are the pros and cons, and how you want to compare in terms of the fees, feature, risk, and return, and all that. So links below. Check out that. This table will be very useful to you. Now, so that concludes how to invest into stock. Now, if you like this hard-hitting lessons like this, smash that subscribe button and get notification when very useful lessons like this are being published.